What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And yeah, it's about that time here. And yeah, we're going to be seeing a potential major change to our country. Yeah. And well, we're already starting to see votes here. The number of early votes cast surpasses the early vote totals in the 2018 midterm elections. Yeah, Americans have cast more ballots ahead of Election Day than they did during early voting before the last midterm election, continuing a trend of increasingly relying on early voting despite vocal objections from some Republicans. Which, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, honestly, it's probably better than waiting in long lines. You could let me know. I mean, I guess it depends on your area. Some places have long lines, some don't, right? On Saturday, the number of ballots submitted had already passed 39.1 million, the number that was cast in 2018, according to data maintained by the United States Election Projects. This year's total will grow because election officials are still receiving ballots through the mail, and some states allow in person early voting through the weekend. As of Sunday morning, voters had cast more than 39.2 million early votes as of Sunday morning. Former President Donald Trump and his allies have attacked early voting, especially vote by mail programs, prompting some Republicans to give up a practice that they have embraced in some states for decades. Yeah. A countervailing force seems to have offset that opposition, more opportunities to vote early. We have seen an upward trajectory of early voting from election to election, especially with the pandemic here recently. And that's because states are offering early voting more frequently or expansively. For example, in 2014, about 31% of ballots were cast by mail or at early voting locations. That was in 2014. In 2018, it rose to about 40%. And remember, that was before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, he expects early ballots to take up a larger share this year, especially with there's actually a lot of people worried about incidences happening this year. So hopefully we won't see that happen here. But I mean, you never know, right? You never know. Twitter removes their misinformation policies. Uh, this is pretty major because remember that presidents and country leaders all around the world and politicians, celebrities, and millions of people all around the world use Twitter. So now they're basically saying it's okay to use misinformation. There's no, you can say something completely false about anything and it won't be removed. Yeah, Twitter's rules under the new CEO, Elon Musk, published Monday, do not include policies about misinformation. This is completely different than what Twitter had and what other social media platforms have as well. Musk said the rules will evolve over time, but as they stand Monday, they appear to offer a more bare skeleton of safety policies than what existed before. The rules do prohibit actions such as glorification of violence, terrorism, and other things here, but they also seek to limit users from impersonating others and publishing other people's private information, but not much else. But the rules do not include policies that they had in place before about misinformation, such as about the virus, things about Ukraine, things about the war, or elections, or things like that. So, yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. Yeah, this comes as dozens and dozens of major advertisers are pulling out of advertising on Twitter. Like General Motors, Pfizer, United Airlines, Audi, all sorts of massive, massive companies saying that they've had it, and without basic general type of guidance, and people can just literally do racial slurs or anything. There's just no type of, people can say anything they want. um yeah, just people. Jesus, this is I'm totally flabbergasted, to be honest. Yeah, they're losing billions of dollars in revenue almost overnight. Almost overnight. So, you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. Also, something just a little crazy here that you might not be too happy about. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'll let you hear this. Wholesale used car prices are plummeting, but you're not really seeing the savings from it. Here's the details on this. Yeah, the wholesale prices of used cars are falling pretty dramatically. Um, yeah, but the prices that car shoppers are paying is actually up, suggesting that dealers are making a killing while consumers are paying, taking a bath here, paying more actually. Wholesale used car prices declined 2% just from September in the first half of October and are down 10.3% from a year ago. That's for used car prices on the wholesale level, according to Manheim Used Cars. Wholesale used luxury cars are down 13.5%, while SUVs are down 12.3%, and pickup trucks are down 8.4%. So this is all over the last, in the last 12 months. This is especially because interest rates are starting to go up. The demand on the wholesale level is starting to go down. But here's the problem here. The retail prices that wholesalers, dealers are charging once they buy it from auction are paying, they're charging consumers for used cars has actually increased 7.2% since last year. So even though the prices that they're paying at auction, when they come off of leases and things like that, or just sold as used cars and go to auction, believe it or not, is up 7.2% according to the Department of Labor. So this is just kind of where, I don't know, corporate greed comes into play or what. So they're buying cars for anywhere from 10 to 13% less, but yet selling them for 7.2% more. Yeah, economists say the fact that dealers are paying less for cars than they were a year ago, while shoppers are paying more, suggests that dealers are holding on to the difference. And this is where it's a free market. Quote, dealers don't have to pass on the savings. They can make bigger profits, former Federal Reserve banker Claudia Sams said in a message to The Hill. Economist Dean Banker for the Center of Economic Policy and Research said the difference is, quote, likely is in part margins, but also a bit of a lag. If a dealer paid $5,000 for a car that today would sell for $4,500 in the wholesale market, they probably will still look to get a price that compensates them for the $5,000 they paid. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says in the United States we have a demand issue. He said last week, we've got an imbalance between demand and supply, which you see in many parts of our economy. So our tools are well suited to work on that problem, which is part of the reason he keeps raising interest rates, well, him and the whole Federal Reserve Board, to kind of curb demand for things like homes, cars, and loans, because What they see is people are just consuming too much. They're buying too much. And that's why car prices were out of this world. Home prices were out of this world. People were literally just buying, 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 so much so that everything was selling for over asking price. And still to this day, selling for over asking price. Yeah, so I mean, you guys can let me know your thoughts, but believe it or not, we're actually still seeing this. Prices are starting to come down, especially in housing, because that it really people really see the interest rate hikes there because you pay those loans for 30 years, but car payments now starting as well. Yeah, but the problem here is that these interest rates are really affecting a lot of people, especially on the credit card interest rate side. Anybody who has a credit card balance is now paying on average 3% or more every single year for their credit card interest rates. And we're already seeing all-time highs on credit card debt. So this is really starting to really significantly hurt people. And now we just had another 0.75%, 75 basis points interest rate hike by the Fed here. And they're talking about another potential interest rate hike in December, as if we literally just didn't, we just had one. Now they're talking about another one in December. Now remember that 0.75%, almost a full percent. Um, we've had that. What did we have that 3 or 4 times in a row now of 0.75? I think we've had 5 or 6 total interest rate hikes this year. Now they're talking about another one, 0.75% of each shot, each time we've had it. That's the highest interest. That's the highest they've raised interest rates in the U.S. ever, 0.75% in one time. They've never raised interest rates more in one shot than 0.75. So just to give you guys an idea of how dramatic that is, how much that is. We've never raised interest rates more than 0.75% in one shot. We've now done that like 4 times in a row. And now they're talking about raising interest rates again in December and next year. Now, we don't know exactly if it's going to be 0.75 again, or maybe a little bit lower, or even higher. But it's just like the problem with this, like even the story about the cars, with the prices not really going down, the Fed looks at this and is like, oh, well, car prices aren't going down. Let's hit them with another interest rate hike. Hit them again. It's just like, this is the stuff that really, it's just like, it's insanity. It's like, it's the definition of doing things over and over and over and expecting a different result. That's what the Fed's doing right now. Okay, well, it didn't work. Let's hit them with another interest rate hike. Let's hit them again. Let's hit them again. Let's hit them again. It's like that quote from when Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12, when they're underneath the casino, and they're like, all right, hit it again with that big drill. Hit it again. It's basically what the Fed's trying to do to the economy right now. As if the economy is not crumbling enough with mortgage rate interest, credit card interest, car loan interest. When you go to buy a new car, buy a used car, or to buy a home, or to pay your credit card bill, and you're looking at like how much is going to interest and how much is going to payments, and you're like, they're gonna raise interest rates again and again and again, and you're like, what are they smoking? Because it must be really good. And then you remember, they're like, well, yeah, they're not part of the 60% of Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck or worse. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So make sure to click the subscribe button down below if you haven't yet. And then click the bell icon after you subscribe so you don't miss out on our videos. It's completely free to do so. Remember that new videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you so much for hitting the like button and the share button if you want to share these videos with your family and friends as well. You can click here to watch my newest video next, or you can click here to see a Senator Joe Manchin deal about Social Security with the Republicans and the Democrats. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.